So do we just get started?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what to do with my hands right now.
Doesn't really matter, Ron. Just audio.
How's my face look?
Normal.
Welcome to VCR, a vintage cinema rewind. We're bringing old movies to new viewers. I'm Blake.
I'm Jason, and this week we got a great ass movie to discuss.
That was a good one. I like that one. Yeah, welcome back. It's been a little while since we've recorded last.
Yeah, a little vacation for the boys.
Yep. But we came back with a huge movie. This is our part 2 of our Michael Mann directorial deep dive. Yeah, month that's kind of been pushed into 2 months now.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we're talking about the 1995 crime thriller Heat. And, oh man, is this a movie?
It's a phenomenal movie. 3 hours, but you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah, this movie just moves at such a breakneck speed. Like, there's really never any slowdown in the plot, and the plot has so many different subplots and other narratives and characters, like, that are all going about and doing different things that are all kind of eventually maybe connect to the plot at some point or another. It's a really fascinating movie in how it's written. Like,
it was so well constructed.
Yes,
Michael
exactly.
Mann, and like that's what you can expect from a Michael Mann movie.
Exactly, and having very deep, rich characters that don't ever feel one-dimensional.
Like, you learn about their motivations so much throughout the progress of the film. So I'll go into the little plot description.
Yeah, sounds good.
Heat. It's a film about a highly professional robbery crew taking on some huge scores while being chased by an intensely driven detective who is constantly putting on the heat. Both the detective, Al Pacino, and the crew leader, De Niro, respect each other's smarts and tenacity, and especially that they'll both go to any length to do their jobs perfectly.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good summary. The film starts out with a really crazy heist of a armored truck, the ones that carried the money between banks, which was just wild, like using the transport like that. And from there, we see this is kind of where those subplots start veering off, and we have characters that it has this very cause and effect relationship throughout the film, which is really fascinating to watch. And as somebody who really appreciates film in the way you and I do, I'm fully invested immediately into this movie and all of the things going on.
Like, if you boil it all down, it's cat and mouse type game that they're playing, but then there's other cats and other mice, kind of, and like it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, it does. And even like there are some characters that you don't even know necessarily why they're in the film until they suddenly are just like shoved right into what's happening. Which is really cool. It's a really great structure.
And all of the heists are so well thought out, just like Thief. Like, Michael Mann really thought everything through with these heists.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I'm really excited to get into some of the effects and filming later because especially with the second heist, there's some really cool stuff to dive into there.
Yeah. And this is one of the, like, this is a huge moment for film in like that decade, because there hadn't really been a big like meeting of these two huge actors, like face to face
and Robert
on
De Niro.
screen.
Yeah, it's really cool, and that's a big reason why the film was successful at first is because it was marketed as the first film where Al Pacino and Robert De Niro are on screen together
and facing off.
Yeah, and they don't even get to be on screen together until closer to the end of the movie, but it's that build-up of when they're on screen together, and that scene when they do appear on screen together is probably the best of the movie, despite like not being as bombastic as some of the other scenes or as crazy as some of the other scenes. It's still, there's something really special about those two meeting at that point in time.
And like, going into this not knowing anything about Heat was awesome, because you're seeing Pacino as a cop, and you're like, wait, is he like a dirty cop? Is like, because he's so badass, you
Right.
don't know which way it's gonna go. And then you see De Niro, and he's just like cold and complicated, or
Complicated.
not complicated. Cold and what's the word?
Calculated.
Calculated. Thank you. Yeah, he's cold and calculated.
Complicated. The ladies love him.
Yeah. Very calculated, and you don't know like if he's gonna like blow up and like do some crazy stuff, or if he's just gonna stay that way. Like it was just a really cool.
Well, and he's similar, and this is again we're gonna probably discuss connections to Thief often, but he lives by a set of codes.
Yeah.
And that's what's kept him so successful and kept him out of jail since his first time in jail. His character is, there's a purpose behind everything that he does and all of his actions and reactions to everything. We're already talking about characters and people you may know, so let's just dive headfirst into that. So I'm going to start with Lieutenant Vincent Hanna, the loose cop on the edge. He's just known for outbursts.
He's so well respected by everyone. Like he's almost feared a little bit, but like always respected because he's so good. And this is Al Pacino.
Yeah, and even like in that the opening first act of the movie where he's dissecting that first heist, he's pretty bang on with what happened. Yeah. Like it's like he was there almost, and I can picture a detective being able to do that and being like really close on what he was thinking. Like obviously he didn't get the fact that Wayne Grow kind of pulled out from the rest of the crew
and that he wasn't like a regular member of the crew. And
yeah,
like there's obvious things that he like couldn't have got, but like he was so close. Yeah, like he just knows his shit. Yeah,
exactly. On the flip side, I think it's also important to talk about his family life. He's 2 divorces deep now, and he's on his 3rd marriage, which right off the bat we see is maybe a little bit rocky.
Yeah, like there was an intense love scene like right away. That was our introduction to him.
Yeah.
And then he's just cold after that.
Yeah.
Towards her. Or the distant is probably the better word.
Yeah, and we get some really great quotes that we'll talk about a little bit later in the spoilers full section.
Yeah, if you want to see Al Pacino at like his like height of like big quotes, this might be it. Like if you watch Al Pacino's career, he keeps getting like a little crazier and like louder in his roles sometimes, and this is like at like a perfect like peak level.
Yeah, this is a likable Al Pacino. Like if you contrast this with Scarface, this is like a brash, loud, likable version of
and
that
he's
character.
Understandable in this one.
Very understandable.
Unlike Scarface.
Yeah, so he's played by Al Pacino, so we've talked about his connection to Scarface, obviously the Godfather series. He was in The Irishman recently, I believe. Yeah, he's Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah. So here's the thing that I think is probably necessary when you're talking about Al Pacino and Robert De Niro in this type of movie. Mm-hmm. A lot of people get them confused.
Really?
Yeah, like
I didn't know that.
Annabelle was having trouble like remembering like, okay, is it Al Pacino who's the bad guy or is he the good guy? And then like they're just they've both done so many movies that are similar.
Yes.
That like if you're trying to remember like one like crime movie, you're like, was it Al Pacino or Robert De Niro who is the guy in that?
Yeah, I guess maybe that's speaks a little bit more to how much crime movies I've watched and how much of Robert De Niro specifically of his filmography I've watched, because Robert De Niro is probably one of my favorite actors.
It'd be hard to say that he's not.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but like specifically, like I really like Robert De Niro portrayals. So for me, like that's kind of distinct and clear, but I can understand where you might get a little confused between the two.
Just based off like characters that they've played before, it just always seems like Al Pacino should be the bad guy.
Yeah.
So that's what I think confused Annabelle.
Oh yeah, true. But I think it's a really great portrayal seeing him as he's not quite a crooked cop, but he doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah.
I actually had to look this up to see who was the bigger actor at the time. I think it was slight edge to Robert De Niro here on who's bigger. Like, The Godfather is one of the greatest film series of all time, but Robert De Niro's career is coming off of, like, Goodfellas and Casino and some other really great films. And looking at his net worth, like, It's like 10 times what Al Pacino's is, which is wild.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Robert De Niro is playing the character Neil McCauley. He's a career thief. He's spent some time in Alcatraz, I believe. He's always considered himself like a lone wolf. He doesn't attach himself.
The code that he follows, that he was taught in the streets, I believe, or in jail, I'm not sure. But yeah, Neil McCauley like lives by this quote. Allow nothing to be in your life that you cannot walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you spot the heat around the corner.
Yeah, which is such a great line, such a great quote. I think they've been doing this for a few years at this point. Like, he's got a pretty established crew, and he's become pretty close with the rest of his crew. Like, they go out for dinners together, and the rest of his crew has maybe veered off of the code a little bit. Like, a lot of them have families, have children, stuff like that. And he's starting to feel that loneliness creep in.
He said he's alone, but he's not lonely, to the love interest that he has.
Yes, Edie. But he might say that, but it becomes very apparent, and that's one of the important themes of the film is loneliness.
Yeah.
And so he kind of starts losing himself in these what ifs and what maybe his life might look like outside of crime after one last job.
So we have a few like tropes that are there, of course, but they're not ham-fisted.
No,
they're there, but they're done respectfully, I think. Like how him and Pacino, like they're two heads of the same coin.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they could have been brothers in another life.
It's almost like oh no, now I can't remember the movie I'm thinking of. The Departed.
Yes.
So it's almost like in The Departed, where you have Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio each playing each other's like the opposite. So each are trying to infiltrate the police and the mob. And in another life, they probably could have been very close with each other and drawn some very similar life experiences. But they're opposite each other that.
Yeah, they're perfect equals.
Yes.
On opposite sides, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Another great movie, another great crime film.
Yeah.
I don't have too many other characters that I want to dive into. So this cast you could almost say is an ensemble cast, because I'm going to just list out some of the other appearances that happened in the film. But another important character is Chris, played by Val Kilmer. So one of Neil's closest friends. He has recently started a family, but he's also a degenerate gambler. And so a lot of the money that they make on these heists is just gone. That's probably that is his primary reason for being a part of the crew and being on these heists together, is because his lifestyle, he needs that money to feed his habits, basically. Whereas Robert De Niro is more similar to what we see in Thief, with Frank, where he's trying to get ahead. He's trying to help his own life and make up for all of his lost time in prison. So that it's a little bit of a contrast there. Like, each character has their own reason for being in it. Another quote that we'll say a little bit later, because the moment, one of the characters' reasonings for being a part of the crew is really great too.
Oh yeah.
It's maybe one of the best quotes in the movie. But anyway, other appearances, we see John Vaught, Angelina Jolie's dad, is the primary fence and also the connections for all of the crimes. Like, he's the guy who connects criminals with people who have knowledge about how to infiltrate certain places that have money or whatever. Danny Trejo makes an appearance. This is one of his first movies.
And his character is Trejo.
Yeah, his character is just Trejo.
Yeah.
He was brought on originally just to do consulting, because he actually comes from a criminal background.
Yeah.
And he ended up just being so likable that they added him into the crew.
Yeah, I think he was actually in jail with the guy that Thief was based on.
Yeah, you might be right. It would have been around
So him and another criminal were in jail together, and as soon as they got out, him and Danny Trejo just started trying to get into movies.
Cool.
And this is one of the ones that he got into. Yeah.
Natalie Portman in her second film appearance.
Yeah, I meant to look that up. How many films in between Leon the Professional and this?
Yeah, this is her second movie. So Leon was probably her first.
Yeah.
I think that came out before.
Yeah.
Ashley Judd, Henry Rollins is in this, and then Jeremy Piven's near the end, which he's like reversed age because he went from balding to suddenly having hair again.
Yeah. There's so this guy was in the bank scene in Dark Knight. He was the banker with the shotgun.
Oh, yeah.
He's in so many movies, and like he's so like recognizable.
William Fichtner.
Yeah, William Fichtner.
He's like very much like a guy that you're like, it's that guy.
It's that guy. Yeah, yeah. He's in a lot of stuff, but not. He's never like a head guy, like a leading
I think
guy.
he was big in the Prison Break show as well. I think he was an important character in that too.
Yeah, he was in quite a few. Like he's so recognizable.
So recognizable. Absolutely. He's got a face on him. But I guess the other thing maybe I should say is the main crew of Neil McCauley would be Neil, Chris, Michael, who's the other character that we didn't say specifically, and then Trejo, played by Jenny Trejo.
Danny, not Jenny.
Did I say Jenny?
I don't know. You kind of slurred
I was like yawning there a little bit.
There's also the guy who goes off on his own in that first in that first heist scene. Waingro. Yeah. So he actually went to jail, and when he was in jail, he was known as Waingro.
Yeah, I looked that up actually. He went to jail for growing weed it was like 2003 in California. He got in trouble for it. Went to jail for 3 years for that. Can you imagine that now? Like the time we live in?
That's insane.
Yeah. It's wild. Absolutely wild. Anyway, so Michael Mann is our director here. This is, without a doubt, this is his best film.
It's personal, I guess, which his best film is. There's a lot, like Collateral, that's always touted as one of his best.
Public Enemies, The Insider, The Last of the
Mohicans.
Mohicans? No, he's got a lot of great films, and
But this is a huge one.
Oh my god, this movie is so good. In my personal opinion, this is bar none his best film.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
This is definitely a top 20 movie for me. This probably edges out most of the other crime films other than Goodfellas on my list. Like Goodfellas is probably like in my top 5. I don't know if this breaks top 10, but it might be like early tweens.
Yeah. Tweens, sure.
Tweens?
Yeah. Honestly,
like 12. I think I'm going to slaughter in number 12.
All right.
But anyway, who is this movie for? Obviously, we've talked about the star-studded cast, so if you're a fan of any of those, like these are big career highs for a lot of that cast.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of thrillers, crime, like fast-paced heist movies, this is one of those.
If you like things that are almost an epic,
yes,
like it's close to like epic proportions.
The scale, the scale is almost there, and I think the reason why we can justify that is because of all the intertwining stories and all the cause and effect relationships and how like the plot just really branches out. Like it's not an epic in the sense of like a Lawrence of Arabia or Spartacus where we're centralized around one character and it's about the feats of one character.
Yeah.
It's more just like the impact of everyone who ever has screen time in this film and how it impacts their lives and like it branches out.
Yeah,
which is really
big
cool.
movie, and it's a long movie, so that might be where it might not be for you.
But it never feels like that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be. Don't be too scared of the 3-hour runtime.
Yeah, because it moves at such a pace. Like the only thing that you need to think about with this 3-hour runtime is, where do I have 3 hours to watch this?
Yeah.
Not like, am I going to get bored partway through? Because you're not.
You're not. Yeah. Annabelle loved this movie. Like well, I might be overstating that. She always gets mad when I say she loved it. But like she was interested the whole time. And that's rare. For such a long movie, that's rare.
Yeah. And this is kind of diving into our when to watch a little bit as well. Like we're kind of connecting the two. I think this is a pretty good event movie to watch. Like watch it with a group because Jess and I watched this, and then my buddy Mike and his roommate were watching it at their place as well.
Nice.
And so we clicked start at the same time, and we talked for like half hour, 45 minutes after we finished the movie about how great it was, like all of our favorite scenes, and like doing research while we're like sitting there talking because it's such a fascinating movie.
Yeah, it's so fun doing that research after, especially when you have like people to talk to about it. yeah, like if you had like a little like film club, this would be perfect.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, like this is a great group watch.
Yeah. That's a first for us, I think, at least that we've thought of it. As
Yeah,
a
I
group
think
watch.
so too.
Yeah.
I would recommend it like that. Like I could see us convincing Kelvin to watch this like as a group, and him like being like, "Whoa, that was a good movie," kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I think being a group film, it slots into like a Saturday night kind of thing. Like everybody wants to stay on and just chill, have like, make a bunch of popcorn kind of thing, and get ready for a ride.
Yeah. Or just like a Friday night where you're not that tired from the week. Maybe it's like a 4-day work week and you're like, oh, I'm not that tired, and it's Friday night. You're not going to go out, but you want to like watch a really good movie. Yeah. That's a good time for this.
Yeah. Having a good sound system on this as well is pretty key. Like I had the movie jacked up pretty high, and when we get to the second heist movie, it gets pretty wild.
Yeah. They killed it with all of the sound effects.
Yeah.
And everything was just so well done.
Yes. This is a masterclass in how to make a great movie. And also a masterclass in how to be a good criminal, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Where to watch? Right now, it's streaming on Prime and Netflix, so you've got your pick of the two.
Yeah, at least in Canada.
Yeah, at least in Canada. Just Watch is always our go-to to figure out where it's streaming in your area. I think I watched it the first time on Netflix and the second time on Prime. There's not really much difference. I just prefer viewing on Prime, even though their interface is worse.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I found the audio is better on Prime for some reason. Maybe we just pay for worse Netflix.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's your two main go-tos, and those are the two main go-tos, I would say. We're already here. We're already ready to probably cut her off and talk spoilers and get into the themes and all of the stuff going on in this juicy movie.
Yeah.
The movie is the juice.
Yes. Good use of the quote there. Movies are the juice for us.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. The research is the juice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The conversation.
And the discussion afterwards. Yeah. All right. So, honestly, this movie is so good that it needs to be watched. If you've never seen it, I can't recommend it enough. Like, if you haven't seen this, please go watch it and then maybe join us afterwards. You can stick around here, but you're going to lose some things maybe getting spoiled by us just now. So yeah, let's dive into it. Themes. The biggest theme really that I wanted to talk about was the theme of loneliness, and that's really portrayed between, again, the main characters, Vince and Neil. Like his whole mantra. His whole mantra.
Michael Mantra.
His whole mantra. Damn it!
God damn it! Fucking get it together, Blake.
Oh man.
Do we need to take a break?
Yeah. His whole mantra is basically like being able to just walk out of your entire life, so you can't have attachments.
Yeah, like
living that sort of lifestyle.
The only way that he sees it's possible to be as high level as he needs to be to complete his, like, to get those scores at that level, you have to be able to drop everything.
Yeah, and
he wants to be the best for himself. Like, he's not doing this for glory or fame or anything.
Yeah.
He's doing this.
He's the Warren Buffett of criminals.
Yeah. Like, he's super high level, and he's like, you have to be able to walk away within 30 seconds if you see the heat coming around the corner.
Yeah. Such a great quote.
Yeah.
But the thing is that the rest of his crew isn't following that code anymore. So he's starting to see what life after being a criminal could look like. And even at this point, like, he's not necessarily breaking his code to start a relationship with Edie, because he sees how he can get out and go and live a life with her. But there's always that one last job.
Yeah. And he's so meticulous.
Yeah.
Everything has to be right. and everything has to be
yeah.
finished.
What, like that one scene where they're at the robbery of like that metal works place,
Yeah.
and he hears the police officer make noise in the truck,
yeah.
and he calls it all off.
Yeah, he's
Wild.
like, we have to walk.
Yeah.
And like they don't bring their tools with them because
No.
that would make it look like they were maybe stealing stuff out of that, and then they could get snatched. But like
Yeah.
the
And that cost him money too, because he
Yeah.
had to pay for the information to
Yeah.
get into that.
yeah.
But it was absolutely genius because
He's just so good. He
Yeah.
knows when to drop everything and go when the heat.
yeah. And what a scene that is
Yeah,
too. Like when
yeah.
when he hears it and we get the close up of him and then we get the close up of Vince,
Yeah.
and they're kind of like staring each other
Yeah.
down, like what's
Like,
gonna happen?
Yeah, so Al Pacino's using like cameras, and they even have like a thermal camera.
Yeah.
And then he's just watching from the shadows, De Niro, and he's like,
And they're both having the same thing
Yeah.
going through their head right now, like,
Yeah.
and like, am I caught? Is there somebody
Yeah.
there, kind of thing?
Yeah.
And then he just calls it all off, and they're like, and then the other police officers are like, well, are we gonna like pick them up for something? And Vince is like, what are you
No.
gonna pick them
Yeah.
up for? Like,
yeah, breaking and entering.
yeah, they're gonna be out in like a week. Like,
Yeah.
like there's no point. Like, we got to get them for something good if we're gonna get them.
Yeah.
And then right after that, they case them.
Yes. Yes.
How awesome is that?
Yeah. So yeah, like the crew know that they're being followed and being listened to, and so they meet up in a shipyard and have this whole fake casing out the joint
Yeah.
situation. But the cops, they're like, where are they gonna break into?
Yeah, like they go and they meet there, and it looks like they're pointing at stuff, and they're probably pointing at vantage spots and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, but they knew that they could be
Yes.
heard, so
Yes.
they were like, that's one of our escape routes. That's our second escape route.
Yeah.
They just planned this whole thing
Yeah,
just to fake out the cops.
and so Vince was more angry about the first, like when Neil pulls the crew out, he's more angry about that. But when they get cased there,
Yeah.
he becomes like he starts to
Impressed.
respect him.
Yeah, like high level respect. He's like,
They got us.
Yeah, they got us, and he's laughing and like, yeah.
We're
Phenomenal.
way off topic now already, but
it was just too good.
yeah, we're probably gonna do that 6 more times because there's so many good scenes.
So
to
we're
talk
we're
about.
trying to talk about themes, right?
Yeah. So loneliness. We have a really good conversation with Neil and Edie about loneliness. Like it's a pretty like,
Clear.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
clear like indication of one of the important themes there. And on the flip side, like Vince, his entire life is being a good detective.
Yeah.
Like he's been through 2 divorces already, and as we see, we're gonna get through our third by the
Yeah.
end of this movie.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines in the movie, when the crew is talking about this detective and him being on our case and whether or not he's gonna ever like back off of them.
Oh, it's John Voight's quote.
I think
the
so.
fence guy.
Yeah, where he's like, the guy's had been through 2 divorces already. Do you think he wants to spend time at home?
Yeah. Like, no, he's like, no, he's out here watching.
Yeah. So yeah, like he's obviously he's lonely, and in that like there's only him. Like he's at the top of his game. He can't connect at home because he's always thinking about what's going on at work.
He's dealt with like some crazy shit.
Yeah, like the things that he's seen.
The worst of the worst of humankind is what he deals with. He locks people up that did the worst of the worst.
Well, and that's what he says to his wife at one point is like, I try to keep that stuff from you because of how horribly awful I see the world as.
But
like,
it's kind of made him into like a shell of a person when he's at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like he's never
Hollowed him out.
really there because all of this stuff that he's keeping to himself, like he can't talk about it at all.
Yeah. And yeah, like so he's lonely too.
Yeah.
Or alone at least in his like at his high level he's alone.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can tell that even at work, like there's no one on his level at work. There's no one on his like on a level that he can connect to at home.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he connects so well with Neil.
Yeah, that's something that we'll get into later is the connection between the two of them is really important for the film, for probably movie history. But I want to actually bring up the scene where the criminal crew goes out for dinner together, and we see like how out of place Neil is with the rest of the crew with the rest of the crew in like a social setting, while all the police officers and Vince are actually watching them from above. They leave, the police officers have their whole family show up, and even in that setting, like Vince, we see the comparison there of him kind of being out of place in that setting as well with the rest of them. That's the biggest theme for the movie is loneliness. Like there's living to a code, like both Neil and Vince live to codes that aren't necessarily too different from one another either. Like the Gone in 30 Seconds thought, like
60 seconds?
30 seconds.
Oh, 30. Yeah. Sorry. I thought you were referencing the movie. Okay, never mind.
No, the Gone in 30 Seconds
quote.
It's really interesting to see later in the movie when Vince walks out on his family, all he has really in that house that's his is the TV.
Yeah.
Like
he has a suitcase and a TV,
Yeah. Like he's basically living the same lifestyle that Neil is.
To a degree, yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of aspects about police officers and criminals. Really just the only difference is which side of the law they're on.
Yeah.
In that comparison and contrasting throughout the movie.
Another theme is just like dedication, and like to be the best, you have to sacrifice. To be the best at whatever you do, there's consequences, I guess. Like you have to, you're separate, and that goes into the loneliness aspect, but it's like the dedication aspect. It's like genius and dedication and like something within that realm where it just sets you apart.
Well, and veering off from that thought too, like the cause and effect, the effects and the consequences of this film, like we see that throughout the film. Like Wayne Grow does something stupid during the heist. They try to off Wayne Grow. Wayne Grow gets away. That causes other issues further along the movie. Like Wayne Grow's got a vendetta against them. That first heist, they steal the bonds from the businessmen and they try to sell it back to them. So now he, the businessman, has their contact information. He's also a dirty businessman as well.
Yeah, and so he's like, if they can steal from me and try to sell it back, that means other people are also going to think that my money is easy to get.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's the effect of stealing from him and how that reverberates throughout the movie and how that causes issues.
Then you also have the same thing on a smaller scale with the cook that just
the linesman
that just got out of jail and he has to work at a shitty restaurant
and his boss is like
stealing from him,
completely manipulating the system.
He's taking 25% of his take home money, which is already low, and he has to, like, this guy's a good cook at least to a certain degree, but he's making him mop up and take out the garbage, all this other stuff.
No breaks, like, at all.
Yeah, he has to cover for other people. Like, anyways, it's a small scene, but he suffers consequences instantly as soon as he steps out of line.
Yeah.
As soon as he goes back to the life that he was, like, in jail for.
And that's the scene that I most talked about, like, earlier, where you don't necessarily understand what the connection is, because it's kind of this own subplot going on.
Yeah.
But I think the main purpose to that is to just build up the understanding of why somebody would leave, like not necessarily a good situation, but a situation that's going to maybe get them out of being a criminal over the long term, because he's just pushed and pushed and pushed, and everybody's abusing the system all along. Like, it's also a good, like, it's probably something that somebody has experienced and probably was something that was brought to Michael Mann's attention, is like, this is what the system does to people who are leaving and trying to be better. It's just not good for anyone.
They're set up for failure.
Yeah, they're set up for failure, exactly.
Yeah. And
so you understand, like, when he takes the job on, you understand why.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Michael Mann just does, like, he knows this criminal area so well without being one himself, because he's talking, like, he's reaching out to people who know, and he's, like, empathetic enough to really understand, and it comes across so well in the movies. that he
Yeah,
does.
like that's the depth of character
Yeah.
that we talk about
Yeah.
often, is like he gets into the minds of these people, these ex-cons,
Mhm.
and even the police on the other side of things. Like he spent a lot of time, and this movie in particular is based on one of his detective friends as Al Pacino's character, and Neil McCauley was actually a real criminal.
Yeah. Just another tiny little subplot of loneliness
Yeah.
is his stepdaughter, or the like
Yes.
his wife's
Yes,
daughter.
Natalie
Yeah.
Portman's character.
Yeah. It's just so small, but it builds so much. It means a lot.
Yeah, because she's obviously gone through divorce with her original parents.
Yeah.
And her dad is completely out of the picture. I thought my first watch, I thought Neil was going to be the father.
Oh yeah.
Because like
It-
she just
it
kept
kinda,
going
like,
on and on
yeah.
about the dad, so I was like,
And-
is there going to be a connection
Yeah,
here?
and
But
the
that would have
dad,
been too cheesy.
Yeah,
and,
it would
like-
have been too much. And
Yeah.
the dad wouldn't. He didn't show up to visit like
Yeah,
his daughter when she was so excited. Like she had to have the right barrettes in her hair.
yeah, she was stressed out about it. Like, yeah,
She was lonely.
yeah, and she's going through some things like as a teenager.
And yeah, so like her suicide scene, like she acted the
Oh.
shit out of that.
Yeah.
Like she was dead. Like
Yeah.
her body was limp, like perfect. Like it wasn't. That's where like Natalie Portman is so good from such a young age.
Yeah.
She was such a good actress there.
Yeah, she's a great actress. Like
Yeah.
I love a lot of her work.
Yeah.
But all right, let's dive into effects and filming. So, like we kind of said before, the film is really deeply rooted in real life police and criminals, and many of the characters within this film are directly inspired by the people that were on set or the people that Michael Mann had on previous films and on previous sets. So Neil McCauley was himself a real life criminal that spent time in Alcatraz and was a big criminal in LA. I think it was in maybe the 60s or 70s.
Yeah, 62 he was released from Alcatraz, and he started putting together a crew and planning a new series of heists, and then a detective, Chuck Adamson, started tracking him.
Yes, and so Vince is, I think, a little bit more loosely based on Adamson.
Yeah.
Al Pacino brings some pizzazz to the character.
Yeah, for sure.
But the diner scene, the most impactful scene, my favorite scene of the whole movie, is based on the real life interaction between Neil McCauley and Adamson. I think Adamson was out doing laundry and he saw Neil, and the two decided to go for coffee, and they had that real life back and forth of like being vulnerable and talking about their lives.
Yeah.
And talking about, you know, like when I'm out doing my business, like when I'm out on these heists and when you're out as a police officer, I'm not going to hesitate to shoot, basically. Like I can respect what you're doing as your job, but like I'm not going to hesitate when the moment comes.
Yeah. They actually said that to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So crazy.
Neil also did leave a job once because he heard police officers' footsteps. That's actually based on something that happened in real life as well, which is absolutely wild. And that's something that, like, I don't think you could think of yourself. Like, I think that's something that has to happen in real life to even, like, you know, like, it's such a wild idea that it like it's of those like real life situations where these cool original ideas come from, right?
Yeah, like real life is crazier than what you can make up kind of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne Grow, as well, is also based on a real life Chicago criminal. He ratted on some very prominent criminals at the time and then disappeared for a time and eventually was found in Mexico, nailed to the wall of a shed. His body.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
Wild. Yeah.
It was like in the movie he was like he had Nazi tattoos, and that whole scene with the black stripper, or sorry, hooker that he was with.
Yeah.
Like that was a good scene.
Oh man. Like my buddy
he was
Mike
so
said,
evil looking in that.
Yeah, like my buddy Mike said, if you weren't sure that he was evil, they put a real big swastika on his gut to like make sure you understand at that point in time.
Yeah, and that like the hooker that was like saying like you're a hot dog, like that was a little bit funny. It's like throughout the movie there is little bits of like really funny stuff, but the way she was like really playing it up was kind of funny, and then he just turned.
Yeah.
And like the way he leaned forward
so
was
gross.
Yeah, like his hair, like his long hair and a little bit balding, like his menacing face, like that was well done by everyone involved.
Yeah, I think he could play like the devil in something.
Yeah.
He just has that thing about him.
Yeah.
Other interesting notes, so in the original script, Vince had a cocaine habit. So that's why Al Pacino played the character like so bombastic with the large outbursts and stuff, because he was playing it with the idea of like, this guy is on cocaine to keep himself running in these like moments.
That makes a lot of sense. Like when he was going to see the rat in the like junkyard area.
Yes.
And like the rat was like, he was like obviously like somewhat of a high level gangster, because he was just like having like a nice dinner in the scrapyard, and there was all the gang members, they all left.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the way he like slaps the table, like Al Pacino slaps the table, that's like coke energy.
Yeah. I love how like the whole slick thing comes about when he has that later meeting with that guy and his cousin, where he's trying to get like some more information out of them. And it's just that little thing, that's that little slip up of using like a name over and over again, like a nickname that gets them caught basically.
Yeah, that's the only thing basically. Yeah.
The final scenes with the LA airport and him trying to leave, they actually almost weren't able to film that at the LA airport because there was a threat by the Unabomber at that time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So kind of wild, like thinking that this movie and the Unabomber kind of coincided.
Yeah, wow. Huh.
Yeah, and very interesting.
Yeah. The bank heist, the shooting, that whole heist, that actually like happened in real life. But yeah, the way they filmed that, using actual blanks, they didn't go like the regular movie route and have it all be like added
dubbed over.
Yeah, and you can tell it's real, like it feels real.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about earlier when I said I had the volume jacked way up, and when that scene happens, like the bullets, it sounds like you're there.
Yeah,
like it's so realistic, and like just the way that it echoes off of the buildings. Yeah. As well, it really puts you in that spot, in that moment in time. It just adds something. It makes the scene more alive.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat the whole time because like they're so close to being just destroyed every minute. Like
like they're fighting 100 cops basically versus them, and not everybody makes it out either. So
Slick gets shot.
Yeah,
while holding that kid. Yeah,
so that's wild because this is. I was actually going to bring this up earlier, is that in the original heist, Wayne Grow is the one who instigates and shoots one of the guards.
Yeah.
And the rest of the crew weren't going to shoot him at that point. But in that moment, it's there's no loss to them killing the rest of them because they've already killed one guard.
Yeah.
So it shows that while Wayne Grow is evil, the rest of the crew will do what's necessary to basically keep themselves out
safe.
of jail.
And
safe.
Yeah, because as soon as Wayne Grow killed the guy, it elevated the crime to another level.
Yeah.
And at that point, killing 3 more doesn't matter, and it gets rid of potential witnesses.
Exactly.
So, yeah, they did what they had to do in a split-second decision.
Yeah.
Like they
no hesitation.
Yeah. Point blank, 2 shots to the sternum, 1 to the head.
Yeah.
That's
execution style.
Yeah, and like that's exactly what De Niro does to Wayne Grow later.
Yeah. And so that scene with Michael where he picks up the kid and is using it like as a human shield, like that's a pretty dark moment. But on the flip side, Vince takes the shot while he's got the kid, and like I don't think most police officers would take that shot.
No.
And it shows like Vince is on the same level as these guys are, where he doesn't like obviously he's trying not to hit the kid, but like it would have been a casualty that I think he would have accepted in that moment potentially.
I think he just knows he's so good. Like he just knows he has it, and like the way so everybody in this movie was trained by British forces. like all of their gun handling and like rifle handling, all of that was
Yeah, I heard
like
that the U.S.
very
military
real.
shows some of the scenes as like, here's how you load a gun quickly. Like in the shootout scene, I believe it's Val Kilmer's character reloads a gun really quick, and they actually use that as like, this is how you're actually supposed to load a gun in a situation like this.
Yeah, that's unreal. Because Val Kilmer in that he dominated, I think, the shooting scenes.
Yeah.
Like when he was like going back and forth, like forward and back, I was just so in that moment.
Yeah, the combat tactics that they use during that are really fascinating to watch and really add to the scene as well.
Yeah, and so going back to the effects part, they were using real guns with blanks, and they set up sound picker-uppers. What are those? Mics, thank you. The thing I'm talking into right now.
Yeah.
They set those up in the street, and it's just so like you're transported directly right beside them.
Absolutely.
Basically.
And they went out of their way to come up with how they were going to realistically show how the damage from all of this shooting was going to be caused. So a lot of the cars that they used in the scene, they took to a firing range first and shot up, and then after that they put Bondo inside of it. They painted it over to like mask it, and then they used like the squibs or whatever to like blow it up.
Okay.
You couldn't get more real than that. Really,
yeah. Even in the first heist of the truck, like all of that, when they blew up the back door, and they used I didn't look this up, but it looks so real the way it blew out all the other cars' windows.
Yeah, I'm sure. I didn't read anything about that scene either, but you know what I was just thinking? I was just thinking that it would be really cool to revisit one of the movies like in the future that we've done after watching like with the commentary on, because I've never actually watched a movie with commentary on. It'd be really interesting to hear in the moment like some of the actors and director and everybody else involved like discuss the movie in real time.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, so just maybe a thought for future, maybe something we'll do.
Just like another small detail was when Natalie Portman cut herself. Like just the level of reality they put into that was like she cut her.
Oh my god, it was hard to watch.
Her artery in her leg and one in her arm.
Yeah,
and like they just discussed that in a real way. And then that was a really cool scene when he brings her into the hospital and her mom shows up and he just takes over. He's like, "You're gonna need a person who does surgery on arteries and a person who does breathing or whatever.
Yeah,
a respiratory person." Like he took over control in such a professional way that he was right, like as if he was a doctor, but that was just because of all of his training
and that's where he like separates himself, right? Like
and that's where she eventually like really sees and respects him.
Yes, that's finally the moment when she gets it. That's a great point as well. And they even say, because at this point she's cheated on him, he's left her, and it's at this moment where she says to him like, "Can we actually make this work? Because you're right, like she does finally understand him." And he says like, "No, like
it's like she never saw him in action, so she couldn't respect him and his job as much." And
it's kind of ironic there a little bit, because he tries to keep them separate, right, for so long, because he doesn't want to let somebody into the ugliness.
Yeah, but if he did a little bit more, she would understand more. Yeah. And not just see the home version of him. I don't know where this fits in, but the discussion with the guy that she cheated on him with, when he comes home and there's just a guy waking up on the couch. What was his name?
That's such a funny scene. Ralph,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
It is Ralph.
Vincent, and the wife is like, "You're not even angry about this," because he came in like cool-headed about it. And he's like, "I'm angry. I'm very angry, Ralph. You know, you can ball my wife if she wants you to. You can lounge around here on her sofa in her ex-husband's dead tech postmodernistic bullshit house if you want to. But you do not get to watch my fucking television set." And like slams it and pulls out the cords. Yeah.
I love when he kicks it out of the car.
Yes. I wanted to just double check that. I didn't have time, but he just kicks it out of his car because he's like sick of he doesn't want to be reminded or whatever.
Yeah.
He kicks it out, and then the people on the street, I want to say that they didn't expect that, because they're like they're like, what the fuck? And like you see them laughing and watching him drive away.
Yeah.
Like it seems so real. I want to say that was like maybe even improv, probably not because they actually caught it on, but it could have been.
No, I don't think it was improv, but
The great ass was improvised.
yes, it was.
And the
it scared the guy.
Yeah, it scared the guy. Like he was like shocked, and you
Yeah.
could see it in the movie. That was hilarious.
Moving into score, I was going to talk about the gunshot in score a little bit there, but I think we've already talked about that enough. The music itself was composed by Elliot Goldenthal, produced by Matthias Goll, and they actually produced the movie Public Enemies as well for Michael Mann. So they've collaborated since then. They don't have a whole lot of other connections to other large films in particular. But it's really interesting the way that they went with this film. They used a lot of guitars in the score, which they called the guitar orchestra, which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
And
It felt orchestral a little bit at certain scenes. Yeah.
for the movie itself, there was no central theme to the music. Like it's all just kind of doing its own thing, which is something that like you don't really see in movies often.
Yeah.
It's kind of unique to this film.
What I would say is that it felt like I didn't pay too much attention to it, but what I did see or hear was that, like, it felt like the music was in line with whatever the city was like. Like when they were out at the airport, it was a little bit quieter, just because like besides I guess the airplanes, it was quiet when they're like sneaking around and trying to chase each other. But then like in the city, like at night, like we have some amazing shots of the daytime and nighttime in LA, and the music went along with that.
Yeah, the way that LA is portrayed like is almost a character in of itself in the film. And I think you're right that the music does really make it sing, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And that's actually something that when I get into Legacy that I want to bring up in particular, because we'll get into it now. Chris Nolan, this is one of his all-time favorite movies, is Heat. And he said that the way that Michael Mann shot LA had a really big influence in how he filmed the Batman series and The Dark Knight in particular, and making Gotham feel like a city that's alive and telling the story of a city.
Yeah.
So really, really
that's
great
cool.
connection there, because The Dark Knight is top 3 favorite movies of all time for me. So this movie has had an impact over the last 20 years, especially in other crime films. Like this is such an important movie for cinema that would be another reason why I'd recommend it. The Grand Theft Auto series has its roots in this film, and in particular, the 3rd and 4th games of the series borrow a lot of the ideas about the heists and the characters from this. And I believe the character who plays Michael also plays one of the characters in the 4th game as well.
I think I also saw that Wangro voiced someone in that.
Yeah, he probably did. Other maybe less good Legacy notes, there's been a lot of comparisons since this film came out, in particular probably in the 5-10 years after the film came out, to robberies that have happened since in other countries and even in LA. Like there was a bank robbery that had a very similar shootout where the police were waiting for them outside in LA. There's a French gangster that told Michael Mann at a film festival that he was his technical advisor, basically, that he learned how to become a criminal based on this movie.
Shit.
Yeah. So
that means Michael Mann is the man.
Yeah, like, and again, that probably comes down to like him just learning about all of this and having the right people consulting him on how to pull off these crimes and how to get into the mind of a criminal. Because I think a lot of criminals will learn if they go to prison and learn these people who have similar life experiences. Like they pick up different tricks of the trade through there, and there's this completely different knowledge base that you and I would never understand. Like I've learned so much watching Thief and Heat in the last month about the criminal underworld that I really wouldn't have known beforehand.
Yeah, like the high level criminal underworld. Yeah, where like when you're watching this, like they're doing so much research and like they know how everything works. Like you have the Michael, I think, climbing a pole outside to disable the security system. So they have like all of that equipment, and then Chris he hammers something into the door, the lock,
Right.
and then has like a wrench to pull it. So he's like breaking the cylinder in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So like, all those little details, like they know what they're doing, and it's real.
And that's very similar to Thief and what we talked about in our last episode as well.
Even like they were using like proper PPE when they were like breaking the ceiling to get at another security thing,
right,
for
underneath the bank.
Underneath the bank, yeah.
Yeah, it's really intelligent film. I think that in the next 10 to 20 years that this film will eventually get added to American Film Institute has like a whole category of films that are culturally or significantly impactful on film and like just the culture and life. And I think this film will eventually make it into that list.
Yeah, probably.
So sequels, prequels, and reboots. The original script for this was actually written in 1979. He started writing this movie. He actually in 1989 tried making into a TV show, which they didn't get past the pilot actually for it. But instead, what TV producers decided to do was expand it into just a one-off TV film called LA Takedown. It has pretty good reviews. Heat is like basically a retelling of LA Takedown. So there's a lot of similarities between the two. From what I've read, Heat is the superb work of art. Like it's just the perfection of that. So like you could probably watch LA Takedown just to kind of maybe compare and contrast like what Michael Mann learned from his iterations to get to the point of Heat, but it's not necessarily.
He probably had so much more time with the like criminals and police and everything, like all the research, so it makes sense.
Exactly. So yeah, it's maybe just a film to study if you're really becoming interested in Michael Mann's filmography. That it would be kind of maybe a neat something to go back and watch.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, sequel. There's a novel that's in the works currently by Michael Mann. He said it's going to be a sequel/prequel, and it's set to be released in August 2022. So in a few months from now,
that's
we might
pretty
be
cool.
getting a continuation. And he said basically like he wasn't sure if maybe it'll end up becoming a film or a TV series on its own after. It's probably going to depend on the reception of the novel.
Yeah.
But exciting stuff for people who are fans of this world and these characters.
Yeah, for sure.
Personal reviews and the partner factor. Let's hear your first review. So this is your first time viewing Heat, and I'm sure Annabelle's first time viewing. So I'm really
actually I think she did watch it before, but she didn't remember anything. So.
Nice.
Or she lied to me about actually watching it before. I don't know.
Yeah, well, Annabelle's a big fat liar.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but she's got a great ass. It's a good thing she doesn't listen to these.
I'm gonna send her that clip in particular.
Yeah. Anyways, so I loved everything. Like what I really did love is the little bits of comedy sprinkled out, but also like the perfection of all the robbery scenes and the characters were well developed.
Yeah.
This is definitely every new movie that I watch bumps other things down the list, and then the next movie bumps that one down the list of like, but I want to say at least like top 30, top 20. I don't know exactly where, but like it's definitely a top level movie.
Yeah. It's objectively a fantastic movie.
Yeah.
The way it was produced, like the research that went into everything, like not many movies can compare to a lot of that.
Yeah, it's like the level of detail of the characters, like the two characters, they're at the top of their game. That's like Michael Mann in writing this.
Yeah.
Like he would be like the third guy in this little triangle. Like yeah. He's just that good. And like the whole like seeing all those newer actors that are now huge, like Natalie Portman and Danny Trejo and like all the other, like it was just a phenomenal movie. For the partner scale, I would say I can't say that it would be in like her top movies or anything. This isn't her style of movie that she enjoys watching, but she was into this and she was asking questions, and that's the clear tell for me that she enjoyed the movie very much. So I'd say like I would guess that she at least rates it like an 8, and I would say it's like a 10.
Yeah.
Because like yeah, all the questions she was asking, she wanted to know what was going on. She wasn't losing track of things really. She just wanted to make sure like she's like this is that guy and like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think by the end of the movie she might have been able to tell the difference between Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. So that's good.
Another positive.
Yeah.
So you had a really great point earlier that I wanted to bring up, that something that really adds to the movie is the great comedy that's sprinkled throughout the film. One of the genres that the movie itself kind of fits into is drama. And I find that the best dramas always have really great comedy sprinkled throughout them because there's something about that comedic payoff that you get it really takes a while to get there. Like you almost burn yourself out laughing if you're watching a comedy sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas these little comedic moments
that are well placed.
Yes, they're extraordinarily well placed. Like, again, I'm going to bring up Mad Men, that there's some really fantastic comedy throughout the show, and it's how we get to those points and how sparsed out they are that really makes the comedy itself shine, but everything between also become more important as well.
Yeah, and it feels more realistic too, because the way like criminals like or cops like they have to like they see a lot of bad stuff, so they have to be funny sometimes. Like it adds that in.
Yeah, like and I again like our group of friends, like we joke around a lot. We have a lot of funny stuff that we talk about, and that's just like how like I connect to these characters more when there are funny lines that happen. Or somebody cracks a joke or something like that, right? But you don't have to be funny 100% of the time, but you don't have to be serious 100% of the time. Like I will 100% be more invested in a good drama that has those sparse moments of comedy than I am in a drama that is completely dry.
And like it's nice to not just have like comedic relief, like one character who's just like dumb and funny. Like it's these real characters who are deep and dark and then serious and then hilarious suddenly, and like it catches you off guard, and that's what makes it so much more funny.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So for me, like I said before, I absolutely love this movie. I recently watched it for the first time as well. This was my second watch, but it goes into my top 20. It's not my favorite Robert De Niro movie because Goodfellas is that for me probably.
Honestly, he was a little subdued in this.
Yeah, but like his performance is well done.
Yeah.
Al Pacino, this is up there. I have to rewatch The Godfather. It's been a couple years since I watched The Godfather, but like his character is just so entertaining. Throughout, and you really understand. Like I don't know, I understand where he's coming from, where he just wants to be the best, and he's he's so committed.
And when you are the best, you can't stop sometimes. Like you can't because no one else is gonna do his job because he's the only one who could do it that way at that level. Yeah, so it makes sense why he's so driven. And the way that it was written, you feel that.
Yeah. And Jess as well said, like, that was a great movie. Like, she was like, objectively, that was a great movie. I would have a hard time, unless you're somebody who is completely against violence in film or, like, shining a light on criminal activities. Like, that would be the only person that I would say isn't going to enjoy this movie necessarily.
Yeah, so, like, some kind of grandma or something.
Yeah, maybe. So let's talk about our favorite scenes and close off with that. It actually probably connection here is the documentary of Val called Val, where it's a Val Kilmer's documentary on Prime. I haven't watched it, but I'd be really interested in watching it at some point because Val Kilmer was growing up. Like I thought he was going to be one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, like because he was so involved in like the Batman series, and other films that I enjoyed as a kid. But his career kind of dropped off a cliff in the early 2000s, and so the documentary I think goes into details about kind of what happened with his career, and I'm sure he talks about this movie in that film as well.
Well, not he himself. He has lost his voice.
Really?
He had throat cancer, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And so because he was in Top Gun, so in the new Top Gun, they used AI to recreate his voice.
Wow.
But yeah, so he lost his voice, and it's sad that he kind of lost his career, fell off a little bit in the 2000s, because he was so good. He was like a Brad Pitt of his generation. Again, like everyone's the Brad Pitt of their generation. It's like what's the name when we watch Butch Cassidy, Paul Newman, but the other guy,
Robert Redford.
yeah, another Brad Pitt.
Yeah, well, like I thought Val Kilmer was like Brad Pitt level.
Yeah.
Quality good, like
And
as an actor.
yeah, he was so good in this.
And so good in some of the other movies that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
Like he was an actor that growing up as a kid, like I knew who he was.
Yeah. You know what I really loved about that first scene with the truck heist? The spike strip. Like that
Yeah, that was cool.
That just showed they knew they had to be in and out in 3 minutes.
Yes,
and
they'd done their research on how long it takes the police to respond to certain types of crimes.
Yeah, and so they had someone listening on the scanner to see exactly the time that it was called in and was being responded to. And so they started the timer then. And at the end, like they put across a spike strip because they knew at that 3 minute mark the cops would be there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just like a cool little scene detail.
Yeah. The things I've learned about the crime life in this movie are never do a job with a new guy.
Yeah.
Wayne Grove's bad idea, especially if he's a Nazi serial killer.
Yes. Yeah.
And never do one last job. It's always the one last job that gets you.
Yeah. Always plan at least a few jobs ahead.
Yeah.
So that you always know there's going to be one and leave before your last
just,
job.
Have like a really great job. Be like, you know what? I'm going to cut it out right here.
Yeah.
Like with Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction, where he has like the Jesus moment where he, where the bullets like miss them.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I'm going to walk away.
Yeah. That's the right time.
That's the right time. Yeah.
Not doing one last job.
No,
but and the fact that he almost got away
from
his last job.
Yes, and he
had to finish it.
But the problem is that he lost sight of his code and of his values.
Yeah.
And he needed to commit his revenge on Wayne Grove, which like normally he wouldn't have done. That's outside of the typical motifs of Neil. And he was trying to run away with Edie, which also caught him up. But because even at that point in time, this is what I love about this movie is because him and Vince are operating at such a high level. Like Vince is like, he's gone. There's no way we're getting him because he's so good. He's gone, and he should have been gone. But he had to go back for Wayne Grove. And John Vought's character should not have told him that. But
exactly.
Yeah. And that leads to one of the most bittersweet endings I think I've watched in film. And part of the reason why it's so bittersweet is because not one single person in this movie walks away happy. Not a single person walks away happy. Like nothing good happens.
Like Chris comes back and his wife almost turned it on him, but she's
the last
caught.
minute she signals out.
Yeah, and then he's like, you could see he's like destroyed.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
He's trying to
because he's never going to see his wife and kid again. Ever. Like they're going into witness protection. They're gone. And same with like her and the kid are never going to see him again. Neil is obviously shot and dead. Vince is ending another marriage, and the person that he felt most connected with this entire world he had to kill. Like literally not a single person walks out of this movie happy.
Trying to think of like one person.
There's no silver lining to any of this except for the fact that Vince kind of wins. But like,
and that's bittersweet to him. Like he's even like he
has this respect at this point, and they're so similar in so many ways. Right?
He's like he holds his hand while he dies and just looks off into the distance.
What a sad ending,
like,
man.
Fuck.
Yeah, like that's a powerful ending right there.
Yeah.
I think it's really hard to stick a sad ending, like, and that's why a lot of films try to make endings happy because I think a lot of films that have done that and haven't succeeded,
the majority of people don't like it.
Yeah, it rubs people the wrong way, and people walk away and forget about the movie. And the films like that, I think, are more often forgotten. But this movie, everything leading up to that, like, is just so well done. And the ending, the way it ends, like with them holding hands and like him kind of letting him die there, is just so, I don't know, like it's poetic.
Yeah. Know what? The inspiration for Christopher Nolan, that's huge between these two characters, because it's the Batman and the Joker.
Oh, absolutely it is.
Like they're playing the Batman and the Joker. Like you see how relatable that is to that universe.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's a really great point. Like,
because they need each other. Like it makes it good. Like it makes what they're doing worth it to have someone equal opposite them.
yes. Like, and even Neil, like, would rather be shot than spending the rest of his life in prison. And like he says that, I'm never going back. And to be honest, if I had spent a good chunk of my life in Alcatraz in solitary confinement like he had, I'd probably tend to agree with them.
Yeah. You didn't say your favorite quote.
I haven't said it yet.
The reason why he's sticking with this last job.
Yeah, so like there's the scene when they know that they're made, that they know the cops are on them, the heat is around the corner here. It's like
they got to decide, are they gonna stick to their their guns, and
that's where Neil says to each person, like,
you have to decide.
You have to decide. It's not me on this one. Like, you have to decide whether the risk here is worth the reward.
Mm-hmm.
And so for Val Kilmer, he's like, absolutely, because I need the money, because we know he's a degenerate gambler.
Yeah.
For Neil, we know he wants it because this is his last job. He's making the big bucks, and then he's walking away and riding off into the sunset with Edie. Michael, we don't know his motivations at this point as much for
like we haven't heard them yet.
And so like and the actor who plays him is like not as big as Val Kilmer, and this is like the one moment he gets to like shine, and basically like he just walks up and he kind of has a stupid grin on his face. And he's like, the action is the juice. And like, he's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's just like, like such a great moment.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the best quotes of the movie.
Yeah. And actually, we know a little bit of his motivation, because Neil is like, you got kids, you're set up, you have shit saved, you have like a dealership or something. I forget exactly. Like he had businesses or whatever.
Okay.
He was set up. He didn't need this. And then he's like, well, for me, the action is the juice. And like, it's that like bro moment almost.
Yeah, exactly. And then Danny Trejo's like, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
There's some really great quotes in this movie, and I'm sure that you're going to get into it a little bit.
I brought up some, but yeah. Just the scene where they're talking, like, you could tell, the diner scene where they go have coffee. Like, that was just the conversation. Oh, so that wasn't rehearsed previously. Yeah. So that was they planned to not rehearse this so that they had that little bit of unfamiliarity with each other, where they're like slightly awkward, getting to know each other, holding some things back, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they just slowly like connect.
And they allowed them to kind of improvise a little bit there as well, so that, it felt like more organic. And it's kind of a big moment too, right? Because, again, it's the first time that Pacino and De Niro are sharing the screen together. There's the respect in front of the camera, but there's the respect behind the camera too, and that's all kind of coming together there in that one scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and what a great scene that is. Like, it's so surreal seeing out in the wild, like this police officer and career criminal having this discussion about their lives and how similar they are, really. It's really, again, a pretty poetic scene.
Yeah, and like they're just relating, like telling stories, kind of.
One of it's a smaller detail, but it's something that I caught on this watch that I don't think I caught on the first watch, is when Val Kilmer's character Chris goes to see his wife, and he doesn't know that she's got the police on him, and she does like, I mean, that's maybe one of the saddest scenes in the movie when she like does the like swipe of his hands, and he realizes that everything's over and his life's like over. The little point that I didn't notice is he gets out of the car and he asks one of the guys like, "Oh, where can I grab a bite around here?
Rent a room or something."
Yeah,
Rent a place.
like a kind of thing.
Sorry.
So the reason why he did that is because he knew that he wasn't going to get out of this area without a police officer stopping him, because regardless of whether she says that it's him or not, the police are going to check him. So he
had
created
to have
the
a
alibi
reason.
that way.
Yeah.
It was perfect. Like it was just such a small detail that that really floored me on this watch.
Yeah.
That they had even thought of like, okay, we've got him into this situation. How are we going to get the character of Chris out of this situation in a realistic way?
Because he stops his car at this place. Like, he had to have a reason.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a well thought out alibi. Like
it seemed insane to me that the cops just let him go though.
But he had his credentials. He had a solid alibi. Like there was,
and he changed his hair, so it might not have been him. She said it wasn't him.
Exactly.
So they were still waiting for him to show up. Yeah,
and they really did believe that she was on their side at that point in time, because they had her, man. Like they used the kid as a weapon against her. Like that felt
that was
real
brutal.
Grimy.
Yeah.
That's probably the second saddest scene of the movie, apart from the ending.
You know when Neil was actually going in to kill Waingro?
Yeah.
That was a great scene too, because you actually saw the fear in Waingro's face for the first time. It was like he hadn't been in that situation since he got out of prison, at least.
Yeah.
He had been constantly the most badass person in the room. Except, like he was in complete control all the time until this time, and he wouldn't look at him. And Neil's just like, look at me.
Yeah. Oh man, and the scene right after where he walks away from Edie because he sees Vince there, like, oh my god, that my heart ripped out of my chest there. In that moment, he's realized that he's made all of these mistakes, and that's the moment where he finally goes back to his code and he walks away.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy. And so I had this discussion back and forth with Mike for a little while after this movie, because Mike was like, well, I think he's kind of protecting Edie there. And I was like, I don't think that at all. Like, I think he's realized all of his mistakes have led to this very moment, and like he's trying to self-preservation.
It's debatable, because like I think he could have potentially gotten away in the car.
No, there's way too many
people and the fire trucks. And that is his fault. He pulled the fire alarm.
Yep. Well, but he knew that people were going to be watching Waingro.
So he had to.
I don't know if he did or not. I think he just needed a quick getaway because of the gun firing off.
Maybe,
I don't remember. I don't know if there was a reason
that. That is a little bit debatable. Like exactly what happened there. I don't think anyone told him that the cops are watching Waingro.
Yeah, I think it was just like he needed a quick getaway and the chaos after having fired a gun inside of a hotel.
So there's two things with Edie and him that I think are potentially the only problems with the film. How did she know that he was the shooter downtown at the bank? Like the bank heist scene, when he showed up to Edie's house, she was like, "Did you do that?" And he's like, "Well, I'm not a salesman." How did she know? They didn't post photos of him.
They might have at that point in time, because they showed the guy who died.
Yeah, they showed the guy who died.
But we don't necessarily see on TV that, like...
But he's basically... Oh, wait, no, he's not.
Because he's been made already. Like, the police know him.
Yeah.
They have pictures of him.
I think they should have at least shown that she saw him on TV. Because she just knew out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe we missed a scene. Maybe it was cut or edited out or slightly or something.
Yeah, maybe. But we do see that, like, it's being televised everywhere. Because we see that...
But it could have been anybody. And she could have been like, "Do you see this shit on TV? It's crazy." And he could have been like, "Yeah, I was at my sales job." Like, that's...
Yeah, but I think she's starting to understand, because he wants to, like, get away and, like...
Yeah, but he could be just a salesman who was alone and saved.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can answer that one.
So that's my one problem. The second would be, after that, she agreed to still go with him.
Oh, that was... I mean, like he forced her basically.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
And she still like she was like, if I come with you, can I leave later?
yeah.
And he's like, he didn't respond. I don't know.
I don't know. She just kind of gives in to it.
Yeah, because she also wants to get away.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty nice. But and then yeah, the fact that he went back for Waingro is just so disappointing.
Yeah.
It doesn't ruin the movie or anything because it fits with his character. He wanted everything cleaned up. He
Well,
wanted like no loose ends, kind of.
Yeah.
And revenge.
Yeah, like Waingro causes with Danny Trejo and his family is like so horribly brutal. And like he was the one who essentially tipped them off to the police too, right? Like they would have this job probably would have gone off without a hitch
if they successfully killed him earlier in the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's one of those loose ends, but also like those intertwining plot lines that kind of circles back eventually.
And like yeah, he got emotional about all his crew being killed and everything, and it was Wangro's fault. So yeah, it makes sense. It just sucks. He could have got away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so invested in him getting away. That's what makes it so good.
Yeah, for sure. And you really don't know how it's going to end. Yeah. Now, knowing how everybody else's stories end, like, there's no other way his could have ended. Like, there's no way you get a happy ending out of this.
No, yeah. It's better without the happy ending.
Absolutely, it's better without the happy ending. It would have been too, like, Hollywood, like, Disney-esque kind of thing to have that happy ending.
Yeah, I read a quote online that said Michael Mann makes action movies for adults.
Yes.
Because the majority of action movies out there, they're like kind of more for kids or teens. Mm-hmm. But like this is like a real, like true action. Like he could be in his own category of true action, not just like action movies.
The back and forth that Vincent has with Justine, his wife, there's a couple of moments of quotes that I really like. Like when he returns to the restaurant after he's left her there for hours, and they kind of have that back and forth about like why she didn't leave, and she's mad at him. And so Vincent says, I told you when we hooked up, baby, that you were going to have to share me with all the bad people and all the ugly events on this planet.
Yeah.
And she says, and I bought into that sharing because I love you. I love you fat, bald, money, no money, driving a bus. I don't care. But you have to be present like a normal guy some of the time. That's sharing. This isn't sharing. This is leftovers.
Yeah.
Like I'm just getting the little bits of you. And then he takes a really dark turn and basically says, like, you know, like, these are the horrible things that I see. Like, do you really want to be let into that? Later, when we talked about how she asked if they can maybe still salvage their marriage out of this after she's finally come to respect him. He says, like, I wish I could say yes, you know, but in the end, it's like you said, all I am is what I'm going after. It's not what you want. Yeah.
The fact that her daughter chose him to be the one who found her.
That's important to her.
Yeah.
And, like, we can understand, like, she might be the one who understands Vince the most after Neil does, really. Like, to be the one to be, like, he's going to find me here, and he's just going to understand, and his brain's going to shut off, and he's going to be in police officer mode.
Yeah. And it saved her. So, like,
she didn't want to be saved, but, like...
she might have, because she didn't... It depends.
He wasn't... He would, like, in a normal circumstance, he wouldn't have given up. Like, he wouldn't have gone back to his place, like, as early as he did. That's a cause and effect thing there, but... He finally gives up and walks away. And that's the one positive thing is I guess he saves his stepdaughter.
Yeah.
So when they're at and this again kind of goes back to the lifestyle that Vince has, and him and Neil are talking at the diner, and Neil quotes the walking away in 30 seconds. Neil says to him, like, now if you're on me and you gotta move when I move, how do you expect to keep a marriage? Because I am in this life 100% of the time, so you have to be on me 100% of the time.
And the way that's something that I wrote in my notes, the way they slipped the police at that moment while he's in the diner.
Yes.
It's like they knew, they planned it or something. I don't know exactly how that happened, but at 9 p.m. that night, like, they ditched all of their surveillance stuff. So they found it all. They knew they were so proficient at their jobs that they knew exactly how they would be listening, and they ditched it all at the same time while he was in that diner. And then as he was in that diner, he drove to by the airport where the surveillance couldn't follow him, and then
Right.
they lost him again.
Yeah.
So like that was just so high level, like badass. These guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, and like we see that throughout the movie, like how professional
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah, just like them slipping them all at that time, and the way like Pacino was like, how did they get away? Like they're gone.
Yeah,
How did they find them again after that? Oh, they
it's
found.
because Danny Trejo.
Yeah,
and,
they found Trejo.
yeah. It wasn't the police who found him; it was the businessmen.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Wayne Grow who got to
Yeah.
him. Oh, yeah, it was pretty horrific.
Yeah, Trejo's. Yeah, the way the Wayne Grow was killing people was just crazy, just bashing their head in.
Yeah, he like that guy was something else. Like,
He's a monster, yeah.
yeah, pure monster, no redeeming quality to him. Whereas like both Neil and Vince are in this gray area often.
Yeah.
There's so many great, like, I'm just looking at some of the quotes in this movie, and a lot of the quotes really do come from the diner scene because
Yeah.
it's such an important scene.
Yeah.
Again, this is another big diner movie scene.
Yeah, yeah.
We're like 3 or 4 deep on this podcast alone.
Just diner scenes that are phenomenal, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Diners are like a favorite thing for America, I feel like. I wish we had more diners in Canada.
Yeah, we need more diners and more diner scenes
Yeah.
in our lives.
Oh, the guy in the wheelchair who set them up for the bank job. That guy I recognized as an actor. He was in Hell on Wheels,
Oh yeah.
and which was a great show. That guy's like a good. He pops in and out of like a lot of big movies. Actually, like he's around. I don't know. I just wrote that down that I noticed him. Danny Trejo looks so young there too. Eh?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, this is 20, almost 30 years ago now. So
Yeah, yeah.
comparisons to Thief, which movie do you like better?
This one.
Yeah.
But
This is more essential viewing, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
The Thief is for the people who love crime films.
yeah,
And Heat is for anyone who wants to watch a good movie.
yeah, I agree. That's and you get a lot of what you get from Thief in Heat.
Yeah, it's just expanded upon.
Yeah. Like these guys could have pulled off the heist that Thief had. They were that meticulous as well. A lot of the same concepts in both, really. Like he's basically ready to drop his family within 30 seconds.
Within 30 minutes.
Yeah. Man, 30 minutes.
30 days. You have
Yeah.
30 days.
I was a little sad when the driver died. The guy from
Yeah, man, he didn't deserve that.
Yeah, he just got out. Like he's got a wife or a girl who stayed with him throughout his time in jail and
Yeah.
is proud of him. And he's like that.
And he's trying to do better,
Yeah.
but like the system's just like
Yeah.
continuously like
And this just falls in his lap. He's gonna make a ton of money doing something dangerous once. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
yeah.
But the way he's like, what do you have to be proud of me for? Like the way he was like crying to his wife. That
Yeah.
like it was so simple how deeply we connected to him, and then he's just fucking dead.
yeah. Oh yeah. Like
That's how like that was good.
yeah, like
We cared about him.
Yeah, you did. You cared about most of the characters in the film.
Oh, I loved how Neil just got rid of Van Zant so quickly. John Voight told him where to go to,
Oh,
and then
yes.
he found his house because he thinks that Neil's done. So he finally goes back to his house after staying at his office for so long, and then he just throws a chair through the window. And I forget what he says to him, but he just fucking finishes him
Yeah.
and he's gone.
So this is a quote that we haven't brought up yet, is when Macaulay calls him after he realized that Van Zant's trying to
Yes.
kill him, and he's like, and so Van Zant's like, what are you doing? And Neil's like, what am I doing? I'm talking to an empty telephone. And Van Zant's like, I don't understand. And he's like, because there's a dead man on the other end of this line.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
such a great
That-
line. Like,
That was his best line in the film, probably.
yeah, I agree. Like that was like, Oh, because that was such a cool like we've even skipped over that because it's such a small scene, but it's such a cool scene when they meet in the empty lot of the old like drive-in.
Yeah.
And this is another crime. The thing that I've learned is never show up alone because the other guy's not showing up alone.
No,
he's got backup hiding somewhere else.
Yeah. And they both had someone extra there with them.
Yeah.
And oh man, the way they had that place staked out.
Yes.
Like
another like showcase of how professional this crew is.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, Anvil had so much anxiety at the end because he was gonna miss his flight.
Because we were leaving on vacation.
Yeah. And like that's her like worst nightmare is missing a flight. So like
so
that she didn't care that he died. He's like he's gonna miss his flight.
Do you think Edie left? Did she go on to take the flight?
I don't think she knew anything. She didn't know enough.
Man, poor Edie. Like,
yeah. Like
her life is
she just
ruined
packed up
after this.
Yeah. But it's not like she had that much going for her. She had a job at a place. Like it wasn't. She didn't like that job.
Yeah.
She was just starting in her own like side business. She could call those people up and be like, "Hey, can I do graphic design work for you some more?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, sure." Like nothing changed for her. She lost a chance at a good life now.
Yeah.
But she didn't lose that much.
But the person that she loved and then hated and then reloved again dies like 10 minutes after he abandons her.
She only knew him for like a month. She'll forget about him in like a year. And
I don't know. That's a pretty big important moment.
Yeah. She was a nice girl though. She didn't deserve that.
Yeah, she didn't deserve that. Actually, funny enough, I was reading this, that the actor who portrayed her didn't want to be in the movie at first because she thought it was too violent and there was like too much death and destruction in the movie. And so she wasn't a fan of being involved in something like that. And Michael Mann was like, "You are the exact correct person to play Edie.
Yes,
channel
exactly.
that."
Yeah.
I think that's it though. This movie is great. Like there's so many great moments. It's almost hard to talk about all of the great moments because the entire movie is just a ride from start to finish.
Yeah.
So I think we leave it up to the viewer to go and enjoy and experience something that's truly an important piece of cinema.
Yeah. Is it a masterpiece?
Yes. Absolutely, it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. Like if anyone's gonna induct like a masterpiece from Michael Mann, this is it probably, as far as we've seen and from all I know about him now.
Like I don't know, this is a movie that should be on your list of movies to watch before you die.
Yeah 100%. Yeah, we should make that list at some point.
Yeah, we should.
We kind of are.
Yeah.
Slowly. But there's so many.
Yeah. All right, so this will be out early June. So June is going to be your month of movies, which we're probably only going to have time for one more now since we're a little bit late on our vacation time here. So what are you thinking?
I was trying to think of something that really fit with like movies I've watched before, but at the same time, I think my favorite thing is to watch something that I have no idea what it is, but I know that it's highly respected and something that's a little out there. So I wanted to go with Harakiri. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also known as seppuku.
Yeah, seppuku.
Yeah, that's cool. I think
so. It's a foreign film. We haven't done a foreign film.
We haven't done a true foreign film because technically speaking, a fish called named Wanda is a British film.
But that's not foreign enough. I don't know. Like to be a foreign film, it's not listed.
No,
there.
it's not. Like I would. This is our true foreign film because, and you and I have talked about this back and forth a number of times, that I think that there's a big resurgence in foreign cinema and foreign TV, and that's a lot in thanks to streaming.
For sure.
Like
Dark.
Yeah, well, I think it started with Narcos.
Yeah,
and especially with Narcos being in both English and Spanish at the same time, like that's a good into a foreign language. And then, like you said, we had Dark after that, which is fantastic. Squid Game of most
Yes,
recent.
yeah.
So
Even some those are a lot of shows. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
like
with movies,
Parasite.
Yeah. was huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that there's some really great stuff out there from the past.
Yeah.
That as Western audiences, like we just never been exposed to.
Half the time we only see the Americanized version, like Old Boy.
Yes.
Old Boy was phenomenal in both versions. But the second one didn't have to be made. Of course, we got to see Josh Brolin and Elizabeth Olsen, which was great. But the original was better in most ways.
And the Raid Redemption is like one of my favorite action movies of all time.
Yeah.
It's a Korean film. Train to Busan is like an insane zombie movie. Like,
oh yeah, you told me to watch that.
Yeah.
I haven't yet.
It's so good. So like this is all the new stuff that kind of trickles down to us, but I think there's a lot of films out there that have been lost over the years that as Western audiences we haven't appreciated. So I'm really excited to watch this one.
Yeah, like I haven't watched a good samurai type movie or
I don't think I ever have either.
I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon as a kid, and like I shouldn't have watched that when I watched it. And like there's this scene that just like stuck in my head, and I had nightmares of where this like they had like a half moon blade that they would throw like some kind of sword, and it like sliced into someone's brain like right above here, and that scene like I couldn't watch the rest because I was too young. Like I was like freaked out. Anyways, so I'm looking forward to watching something.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this a lot. At some point, I really would like to check out Jackie Chan's filmography. Because
find something that we haven't seen.
Yeah, like think about how famous his
his original things.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
What is it? There's like a drunken something, isn't there?
I don't know. I don't know Jackie Chan's filmography at all.
It's been a bit. Anyways, yeah. Looking forward to a good Japanese film.
Mm-hmm. And one that's so important to the Japanese culture.
Yeah. Yeah, so. Like it's on like the top list of samurai movies.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
So let's end her there. That was a great discussion. This is such a good movie to talk about. And have a good one. We'll see you in a few weeks.
All right, let's do it.